Good day everyone. Welcome to Basic Research class. Our topic for today is about nature and characteristics of educational research. Our previous topics are the following: definition of educational research, purposes and functions of educational research, characteristics of a good research, and the role of theory in research. Today, we will be talking about the following: the research process, kinds of research, variables and scale measurements, and some hindrances to scientific inquiry. Our intended learning outcomes for these lessons are the following: to identify the steps in the research process, identify the kinds of research, to be able to understand what are variables and different types of variables, and to be able to learn the hindrances in scientific inquiry. So let's start with the research process. Alright, so the first process is formulating a research problem, then followed by reviewing the literature, constructing hypotheses, deciding which methods to use, data collection, data analysis, and writing a research report. Let's start with the first step: formulating a research problem. Selecting a research problem can be the most challenging part of a research assignment. Since this is the very first step in writing a paper, it is vital that it be done correctly. It gives direction to your research. The more specific, the better. It will be best to consider the interests, expertise, and experience of the researcher and the research supervisor. Okay. Second, we have reviewing the literature. Right. When you do literature review, it enables the researcher to foresee potential issues that may arise during the research and have an idea on how to avoid them. This allows to view and study related researches done by other researchers and how your research will add to existing literature. A review of relevant literature is an integral part of the research process. It enables the researcher to formulate his problem in terms of the specific aspects of the general area of his interest that has not been so far researched. Such a review not only provides him exposure to a larger body of knowledge, but also equips him, meaning the researcher, with enhanced knowledge to efficiently follow the research process. Through a proper review of the literature, the researcher may develop the coherence between the results of the study and those of the others. Third, we have setting research questions, objectives, and hypotheses. After discovering and defining the research problem, the researcher should make a formal statement of the problem leading to the research objectives. Right, so an objective will precisely say what should be researched, to describe the type of information that should be collected, and provide a framework for the scope of the study. While a hypothesis is an unproven statement or proposition that can be refuted or supported by empirical data. So the fourth step is deciding which methods to use. The most challenging activity in many research projects involves around deciding which methodologies and methods to utilize. Once you choose a specific methodology or method, you might need to seek more advanced information about these choices. Take note that research method is the general strategy in data collection and analysis for solving problem. All right. Step number 5 will be data collection. Once the research method is known, you need to plan the procedures and techniques to be adopted in order to implement them for data collections. And this involves, number 1, nature of sample to be chosen for the study, and the selection and development of data gathering devices such as tests, questionnaires, rating scales, interviews, observations, and the checklist. Number 6 is the data analysis. Data processing generally begins with the editing and coding of data. Data are edited to ensure consistency across respondents and to locate omissions, if any. In survey data, editing reduces errors in the recording, improves legibility, and clarifies unclear and inappropriate responses. In addition to editing, the data also needs coding because it is impractical to place raw data into a report. Alphanumeric codes are used to reduce the responses to a more manageable form for storage in future processing. This coding process facilitates processing the data. The personal computer offers an excellent opportunity in data editing and coding processes. The data analysis usually involves reducing accumulated data to a manageable size, developing summaries, searching for patterns, and applying statistical techniques for understanding and interpreting the findings in the light of the research questions. Further, the researcher, based on his analysis, determines if his findings are consistent with a formulated hypothesis and theories. The technique to be used in analyzing data may range from simple graphical technique to very complex multivariate analysis, depending on the objectives of the study, research design employed, and the nature of data collected. As in the case of methods of data collection, an analytical technique appropriate in one situation may not be appropriate for another. Alright, so writing the research report. The entire task of a research study is accumulated in a document called a proposal. A research proposal is a work plan, prospectus, outline, an offer, a statement of intent or commitment from an individual researcher or an organization to produce a product. The proposal will be prepared to keep in view the sequence presented in the research process. The proposal tells us what, how, where, and to whom it will be done. It must also show the benefit of doing it. It always includes an explanation of the purpose of the study, say the research objectives, or a definition of the problem. It systematically outlines the particular research methodology and details the procedures that will be utilized at each stage of the research process. The end goal of a scientific study is to interpret the results and draw conclusions. Okay, types of research. So we have the following: based on application. It could be either pure research or applied research. And then based on objectives, it could be descriptive research, exploratory research, correlational research, and explanatory research. And based on inquiry mode, such as quantitative research and qualitative research. Start with based on application, a pure research. Pure research allows us fundamental or basic driven purely by researchers' interest or curiosity. It aims to expand knowledge without any specific applied purpose in mind at the outset. It is known as the research for the sake of knowledge. It is grounded in the scientific method, and it is not expected to have an immediate practical application. The primary purpose of basic research is to expand on what is known, build knowledge with little significant connection in contemporary problems. So we have examples of questions that can be studied through basic research are: how does the human body respond to chronic stress? How do children acquire language skills? How does memory work? Okay, and then based on applications, applied research. This is used to determine a specific set of circumstances. It seeks to relate the results or findings of the study to a particular situation. The purpose of applied research is to increase what is known about a problem through empirical observations in order to create a better solution than is currently available. Take note that applied research is used widely in city planning and public policy research. So let's have an example of questions that can be studied through applied research are the following. How can we abolish hate crimes? How can bullying in schools be prevented? Or what is causing increased poverty? Alright, so based on objective, we have descriptive research. This aims to describe systematically the characteristics of a particular individual situation or group. It focuses on describing some phenomenon, event, situation, or a group of people. The goal of descriptive research is to paint an accurate picture of the way the world is. Okay, so for example, the question that can be studied through applied research are: how is overcrowding in cities related to crime? Alright, so based on objectives, the exploratory research. Exploratory research helps explore and provide insights and understanding of a problem or situation that has not been clearly defined. Now, it has the following purposes: formulating a problem or defining it more precisely, identifying alternative courses of action, developing hypotheses and isolating key variables and relationships for further research. Alright, so next is based on objectives, we have correlational research. Now, it refers to the systematic investigation or statistical study of relationships among two or more variables without necessarily determining the cause and effect. It examines the possibility of a relationship between two or more variables without any attempt to influence them. The researchers can collect much information about many subjects at one time and the study of variables that are not easily produced in the laboratory. Correlation does not indicate causation. Right. Still on objectives, we have explanatory research. It attempts to explain why and how there is a relationship between two or more than two aspects of a situation or phenomenon. It also analyzes and explains why or how something is happening. It seeks to identify and explain a causal relationship that is substantively important or meaningful. Alright? Then, based on inquiry mode, we have quantitative research. The main objective of this research is to quantify the variation and diversity in a phenomenon, situation, or attitude. The data collection method includes survey, pools, questionnaire, and other systematic observations. Basically, you do larger sample populations, and it should be much more structured. Another one is the qualitative research. It aims to gather an in-depth understanding of human behavior, as well as the reasons that govern such behavior. It is more subjective in nature and effective in identifying and examining tangible factors such as beliefs, meanings, and symbols. The sample size is typically small. The most common qualitative methods are participant observation, in-depth interviews, and focus group discussions. Okay, so these are the references. That ends our chapter 1.